Welcome, Modern Talkers. This is Modern Talk, right? Modern Talk. Why? Thank goodness that the seasons are changing because I was running out of summer shirts. It's sweater season, babies. It's good to be back with the sweater stuffs. I live at the beach, so I don't know, it gets too hot sometimes for too long. And then it's nice for a switch up. But it's nice that it doesn't get, freezing around here for a while. Yeah, dude, the winter is where it's at here. Well, I mean, it really doesn't matter. No one cares. But and now I'm already starting to get hot, which I knew would happen because of the lights, man. I don't know what, they just give off heat. And sometimes you watch videos of musicians and stuff on stage, and they're sweating you're literally just going like this. But just standing on a stage doing absolutely nothing with all the lights on you, you'll still sweat. So, and I sweat just standing there with no lights on me. So, I'm doubly screwed. So I I dove back into the 1980s movies from my childhood. And I'm not from the 80s. I'm a 90s baby, 97. But I went to Teen Wolf because it's I think of it as a fall movie. So it's fall now, not for you, but for me. And yeah, so and I hadn't watched that in a long, long time. Maybe high school. Yeah, I don't know, which is a similar deal for the Karate Kid one. But it's so good. The 1985 Teen Wolf, not the new one. I don't know anything about that. But yeah, with Michael J. Fox. And it has that 1980s charm. It's a little bit, it just has that charm that it's the 1980s. It's just a different feel, that's all. They did, and this is kind of in no particular order, but they did an awesome job with, and I guess there kind of is spoilers. Yeah, there's definitely spoilers in this, so if you're not cool with that, skip to this number. If you don't care about this, you could also skip ahead. It's not a spoiler alert only thing. I can't make this joke work, but I just thought of a website for only spoilers, and it's like OnlyFans, and it spoils when someone gets naked or something. Anyway, I'll have to work on that one. I wanted to do, totally forgot about this, but I wanted to do a Twitter account for some reason that would only do spoilers, for The Shining. If you haven't seen The Shining, skip ahead 20 seconds or something. I would just tweet Jack's cold at the end or something. It doesn't really kind of give it away, but it does, because the final frame almost is just him. I'll put a picture up there, but yeah. So anyway, I don't remember how I got there. Oh, spoilers. So Styles, which is the best friend in the movie, they did an awesome job marketing the movie through him in the movie, which is crazy. That's so smart, especially for the 1980s. And I know I said that a lot the last time, and maybe I just don't give the 80s enough credit, so I'm like, oh, you're blowing my mind, even though it's really not. It's that's how it should be. That's how people might think. But Anyway, so I would buy every single shirt that he wears in that movie. It's so funny. And I'll put some up, you know. I don't know if they used it like that. I don't know if they actually sold those shirts, but they must have. And I didn't do any research. That's how I roll. But that's actually not how I roll most of the times. But I'm afraid that they didn't, so I'm afraid to look it up and then be disappointed. One of the things that's like kind of the 1980s charm is they say the F word and not the fun one, the derogatory one. So that was funny, and I don't remember noticing that when I was a kid watching it. Yeah, so I thought that was funny. And it's such a cult kind of classic movie that no one, I guess they kind of just have a free pass in general, because it's from the 80s and stuff. But it would have to, no one nowadays, and maybe in the future in 2 days, but no one nowadays would be trying to cancel Teen Wolf in 1985. So if you know about the movie, it's basically it's this kid who's a werewolf. He doesn't know he's a werewolf, but because he's hitting puberty and stuff, I think it's kind of assumed, so it's not 100% puberty related, but he's starting to go through these changes, and randomly he gets hairy. Part of the 1980s charm is there's just a big kind of long, skinny but chunk of hair right in the middle of his chest, and it's just so clearly fake, obviously, and but it's just a piece of clear tape over top of it. I don't know exactly what it is, but it seems like that would just be what it is. And then he rips it and he's like, ah. I don't know, it's just not believable. But so that was one of the changes that he was going through, and he didn't like it at first because it makes him weird and different, and then he just wants to be normal, and so then he turns into a werewolf in school during a basketball game because he plays basketball, and then everyone's kind of afraid of him, and then he just started playing really well, and it was nothing really changes about Scott, which is the name of the character, other than his appearance and his confidence, and yet he's this amazing athlete and ladies' man, but he hasn't changed at all. It's just his appearance. He's just hairier, and has teeth, and so I think that's really interesting, and probably why it has kind of lasted as long as it has, because it has that kind of deeper element to it, and so I think what I need to do is to get hairier. I think that'll solve all my problems. Yeah, so the next point, and I know it's shaking, but that's just the rule of the game, rule of the dice. Rule of the game isn't a thing. This is a funny thing. The popular hot girl fully cheats on her boyfriend, her criminal older boyfriend at that, with the main character, Scott, Michael J. Fox, in front of her boyfriend. And then at the end of the night, when Scott is dropping her off at her doorstep, she rejects him, and he asks her to the dance, and she says, "Scott, I have a boyfriend." And he's like, "Well, but we just kind of did it in the theater department." And she's like, "So?" And So terrible. Would never write it like that nowadays. And then there's the party scene in the beginning, in the beginning of the movie, beginning-ish, where I think it's the opening shot. It's just two, I guess, teenagers in their undies, covered in something, whipped cream or something, like squirming on the floor, tied up. What? How is that? What, in what world? So it's just so much weird about that. Who thought of that? How did that even? And they're just like squirming there. You could tell they don't like it. Like they're acting like in the movie they don't like it, but in real life it's not like they broke their kneecaps. Like they could get up and run away at least, but they're just, it's a guy and a girl, and they're just tied up, covered in something. It's so weird. I can't believe it. And that's something that stuck in my head. I watched that when I was a kid, probably too young, and that always stuck with me. I never understood it. I always thought it was interesting. I don't think I ever actually expected a party to be like that, but I watched it. It's on Teen Wolf is for free on YouTube right now. Well, it was a week ago, with ads. And I looked at some of the comments, and one person said this altered, or like poorly shaped the way that I expected high school parties to be like. And thankfully I never really expected parties to be like that. I forgot to mention, everyone in the party is surrounding those two people in the middle, just squirming the whole scene, and the scene's like 3 minutes long at least. So anyway, I just love, I don't know what you want to do with that information, but I love that that's a thing. But yeah, thankfully I didn't think, and I only went to one high school party, and it was on accident because I invited myself, and I had a terrible time. Maybe that's a story for a different podcast, but like a full story. But I remember the kids, thinking about my parents listening to this. But this was the 9th grade homecoming party. I went to the after party thing. I went by myself to the homecoming dance. And I didn't even ask anyone. It's not like I got rejected by a girl who just cheated on me with her boyfriend. Callback to Teen Wolf. Yeah, super embarrassing. Just all around bad decisions. So sad. So only child. All that stuff. But anyway, so I went to the after party for some reason. And this was like the most popular kid group, and I don't know how or why they went along with it and all this stuff. Mostly actually Connor Slomka, because he's really super nice to me. Oh, we talked about this a little bit in his episode, so if you want to go back, that was in Jeepers Creepers 2020, I think, if you want to listen to that one. Yeah, so they some of the kids there went to go smoke weed, and I was just there watching, and I didn't think that I looked uncomfortable, but I don't know if one of the other kids was like, hey T-Bone, that's what they called me for some reason. This story could be, easily half an hour, but I should tell it now that I've teased it so much, but we should have a whole series on my whole high school experience. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about this later. but I have a lot of stuff to go over this week, so I don't want to go over too much. Not that I have a set, whatever. So the kid said, "Hey, do you feel uncomfortable?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he's like, "Okay, we could just walk." And so me and him just went on a walk to nowhere just to not be there. And he was super sweet about that, and I still don't really fully understand how or why he did that, or how he knew that I was uncomfortable. Like, obviously I was uncomfortable my whole high school experience, so I don't know what told him that I was especially comfortable at that point. So that's the party scene. And I also heard about how Michael J. Fox, during the filming of this, was also doing Family Ties, which was his TV show at the time, huge hit TV show, and Back to the Future somehow. It was either some overlap or right next to each other, but it was like all happening pretty much at the same time. So, and this was definitely like the least successful in most campy, kind of thing. Obviously, like Back to the Future's iconic. But and people use that word way too much, but I think it's acceptable it's an absolute classic, no doubt. But so I heard he had a tough time with his movie because it's kind of a ridiculous script and idea and stuff. And I think this was his first movie. Like he's done TV shows. He was like a major supporting role in the TV show, but this is his big jump to movie. So you got to start somewhere, and thankfully it's still really good in my opinion. But I heard that he was like kind of like, and there's like so much prosthetics. Obviously, he's covered in hair everywhere. Like that's hard to do. Physically, and not even considering the emotional part of being in a movie that's silly. But at no point was I like, he really kind of didn't commit to that. He always felt like, I'm this character and I'm frustrated, or whatever the scene called for. But I just love that, like he was like that. And because sometimes you could see, they really were kind of saving themselves for that one. They didn't want to put themselves out there because it would look weird or whatever. So it never looked like he wasn't giving 100%. And I think it paid off because I consider it a classic movie to me. I think cult classic is more accurate. But I've seen this movie at least 15 times in my lifetime. I love it. And another thing that's 1980s charm is the theater teacher was, of course, creepy in a subtle 1980s way. No hate on the 80s, by the way. I don't know if it's sounding like I hate on the 80s. I grew up on 80s films because my dad grew up in the 80s, so he was showing me stuff that he liked and stuff like that. So so I love the 80s. But the teacher, he was like, the like hot girl in the movie was the star of the play or whatever, and she was having this monologue, and he's like, "Come on, darling, more sensual, hurt me." Like really lay it on me, like make me feel hurt by your sensualness or something. And she's a 18-year-old or whatever, and he's 30 or whatever. And Styles, that guy with the shirts, I need to look if they sell those shirts, because it's so funny and cool to me. But he is such a charismatic person in that, or character or whatever, but you could tell that's how he is in real life. He was just like kind of, playing himself up a little bit maybe, but he seems like such a guy that would die in the 90s from a heart problem, and that's not true. I looked that part up because I didn't want to, I didn't want that to be bad, but he just seems like he was like, I don't know, too high strung, and I don't know, I don't know what it is about him necessarily that he was like so kind of cool and like that. I don't know how else to explain it. This is I've had a really good week overall, especially the last 24 hours or whatever. I do therapy the day before this, to kind of get some insight on myself before I do this, and I really like that, and it usually like kind of recenters me for this, and I'm really glad that it's working out like that, because if we did this before therapy, maybe I would have been like a little bit more dumpy, but yeah, I love therapy. I highly recommend it to anyone. But I was thinking this week when I wasn't as high as I am now, and I am intoxicated. No, it's high, but I thought about how it's so weird to be jealous of yourself in the past. Like, that is such a weird thing, and that happens a lot, and it's sad, like obviously mostly with older people, like, oh man, in my 20s, that was, I'd give anything to go back to my 20s, and it's so weird to be jealous of yourself, and like in my darker times, like especially right after the breakup, and even during being with my ex, I was like, man, this is awesome, and I know if this ever ends, I'm gonna look back and be like, dang, I was really living it. Like, he was really killing it back then. And now I'm killing it, in a different way. But yeah, I feel like I'm killing it too, and maybe I'll just be jealous of this time, which is crazy. But it's so weird. Like, are you allowed to be jealous of yourself? Like, that's so weird to me. I don't know how to reconcile that. I don't wish to be back in that place anymore. I'm happy where I am now, but it's still a weird phenomenon to be. I guess it's a nostalgia thing too, as part of it. I don't know. I still need to fully think about what all that entails and why that is. One of the things at therapy that we talked about was, I actually can't remember, so that's great. And it's on my phone. Yeah, my iPad is old. My iPad's old and my MacBook's old, and they don't work fully, and it's so frustrating. But I had to delete the notes on my iPad because it was taking up too much space, allegedly, and it was like glitching and it wasn't updating. I feel like from the cloud. So if I did one on back in the day, jealous of myself, back in the day when it worked, I would do a note on my phone and it would show up on my iPad as well. But that stopped happening, and so I had to delete the app, and so I wrote stuff from therapy down, and it's on my phone, but I'm recording from my phone, so yes, dude, I can't do it. Here's a practical living in the modern age. And I stuttered, and then I stopped because I stuttered, and I looked up for some reason. But here's a practical living in the modern age. When you close the blinds, like those blinds that you like twist and they're like this or like this or like this. So when you close the blinds, when they're open, when you close them, you have to put them up. That's it. I'm so passionate about this though, because I was conflicted so much for a while, and this is obviously such a dumb thing to be like talking about, but I think it's funny and important. Because when you put it down, it leaves that little bit of space for the sun to come in the morning, the light to come in, and when you want the light the least is in the morning. So you got to flip them up, and then the sunlight can't come in because they're all flipped up. It would have to be underneath, and then light would come up that on the ceiling. And it does let in a little bit more light in general when it's up, but you'll never get that direct hit sunlight like it is when it's down. So that's my practical living in the modern age for you guys. And you know, I needed that when I was first getting first messing with blinds, because I was like, I never know, I just kind of flip the coin and do the other one. I keep looking because I think someone's coming, but they're not, which is good. Yeah, so I've been seeing this quote a lot lately, or I don't know if it's necessarily a quote, but stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And I love that. I heard that a while ago, and I loved that back then, but I didn't think of it that much after that. But for some reason, I've been hearing it a lot, and so I think it's really good and really applicable. But I think it's also has really funny implications too if you take that other ways. And look for that in your life, in how it could apply in good, practical ways and funny ways. So one of the things, another way I thought to say it was, I don't know, was funny to me, was stay steady so you don't get shaky. It's not exactly the same, but I think it's still a good principle. And so I think a funny way to do like the stay ready so you don't have to get ready thing is to always be drunk. Just like always keep drinking, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So softball. Last night, so the game before that, we won, but it was really tough, and I was really hurting, and everyone got hurt in that game for some reason, and it was really hard, but we won by 1 run, I think. Yeah, it was a walk-off situation. So that was exciting, but it felt like I've become a leader on that team, which is really weird because I've never been a leader kind of in a team setting before. I think I talked about this because I think of myself as a director. Yeah, that was last week. But yeah, it's a weird thing being considered a leader. And you know, it's not like a spoken thing, but I think people understand. I don't know why I get so paranoid, dude. Who cares? Who cares if they walk in? It's stressful, and like I put a lot of pressure on myself, and that makes it harder to perform in it. And when you don't perform, then it hurts worse because it's like, oh, they're looking at you. You're the guy, so if you don't perform well, it's like, well, if he can't do it, how can we do it, you know? So thankfully, last night, I didn't really play great, but I also didn't feel like it was all on me. And it was a great team win, and I was so proud of our people. And I made a couple key plays, but I only got on base once. Ironically, it's so weird about baseball, and like that sport, like softball and baseball and stuff, because you could hit it well, but it's right to the person, and then you could hit it poorly, but it just like trickles through and you get on base. So the first time I was up, I've been hitting it on the like short side of the bat, and I just don't have a calibration of how long the bat is for some reason. So I get afraid and I lean into it, and I hit it that way, and which is harder to do because it's a skinnier part. But that's how I've been playing kind of the whole season so far, and I almost always get on base because I hit it hard enough. But then I adjusted, and I was hitting it more in the barrel of the bat, but it just happened to be catchable for the outfield. So I think that there's a lesson in there where even if you're doing it wrong, you could still be successful. And what is successful anyway, but don't get discouraged when you're doing it right, because it could just be other circumstances don't make you successful. Did I bring that home? Is that good? Because a lot of times I talk about softball and I just get lost in the weeds about what happened recently. But that was a good one, right? That was a good practical application. And another thing I wanted to talk about was I talked about this in other podcasts before, but I didn't really I like the idea of being a leader, but it wasn't like my intention to be a leader. I just wanted to help my team, in verbal and physical ways. And it just kind of happened that I became a leader, which is really weird too, because like most of the people are older than me, but they kind of look up to me in that way, which like feels, just like I'm bragging or something, but it's at the end of the day, it's softball. But this quote that I talked about before is, what's a leader if he isn't reluctant, which is a Childish Gambino thing. So it's good to be a reluctant leader, because it's less likely for the power to go to your head. And, I don't really have any power. I don't know what I would use that power, like that little power I have for and stuff. But, another thing about last night that I loved, I just felt, it was after paranoid. It was after therapy, and then I went to go get pizza with two friends, and it was just like a good chill. And then I went to an open mic right before the thing, so I was like feeling like filled up and loosey-goosey and that kind of thing. And one of the people brought their kids. She has like 4 kids, and then one is like less than 6 months old, and she was in a stroller so the whole time, and she was so cute. And we were like interacting, and like I was doing silly faces and stuff, and then that's what I like. I felt free. I felt loosey-goosey, like I said, and not taking things so seriously. Like that's where I need to be, and I want to be, and I am right now, and I love that. I'm really loving that that's happening, and I appreciate it. And I know it fluctuates, but that's the beauty and the curse of it. Is like when you're high, it's not going to always be high, but when you're low, it's not going to always be low. So just try to like steady the course, and try to stay as high as you can, as long as you can. But it's also okay if you get low, and know that it's going to get back up. So Oh, so yeah, I was like, one of the things that I felt free, like I was feeling free. So one of the things that I did was, like the baby was sitting there like with her juice or whatever, and I was like, we were about to go into the field, and I was like, are you in right center this inning, or is it me? And that wasn't like something that I thought of beforehand and then I said for other people to hear. Like I just, like it was like someone got out and then we were all about to take the field, and then it just like came to me and I just said it. Like I didn't even think about it. I think I talked about that before, as like the comedy space where you don't overthink it and you just like kind of just let it roll, and then it comes out funny if you're funny. So that's what happened to me. And what's another thing that like just made me feel good that I was in a space to do that. There's another little girl who was like 4, but I think more 4 than 6. But she was like looking at me, and then she was like doing that, and then I did that, and then we did like a mirror game where she would just like do something, and then I would be like, back to her. So yeah, that was, and then we won the game by 1. We were up by 1 in the last inning, and then we needed to just stop them, and then we'd win, but we had another chance because we're the home team, so we batted last. So even if they scored, we would have had another chance, but if we just held them to no runs, we would win. I don't have a grand momentous thing at the end of this. This is just a way to wrap up the story. So basically we got 3 outs, and it wasn't looking like we were going to, because there was 2 straight hits right away, and then but we did it, and I made like 3-ish plays in the whole game that like kind of helped my team, but it felt so good. Everyone playing well. Like that was so fun. That was so awesome. It felt really, really good. I feel really good because I haven't been thinking about my ex, and I get conflicted sometimes because when I'm feeling good, I realize that I haven't been thinking about my ex, and I get paranoid that I'm just shoving down the feelings. But in my experience, you have to do that, which is sad. Like I don't like that I can't like appreciate the whole the experience as a whole, because that's what I want to like. I don't know if that's just like who I am or whatever, but I always just want to appreciate and be thankful for the experience. But then with that, that means you're like kind of staying in that energy of the past, and specifically like the past relationship. And so with that comes eventually, it could have been longer because I did this, or if I did this. And so that is like you can't have both, or you have to have both. You can't have just the good part, which sucks. It's so stupid. It's not cool. There's no thinking through a breakup too. You just, you have to shut that shiz down, daddy. You gotta turn off that tune, like the Fonz. It's just like, you just gotta shut it off. I think he usually turns it on, but like my first breakup, I tried everything to like think through and rationalize the breakup. It's just not pos. It's not pos. Simple. It's not pos. I always thought that you get through a breakup by thinking through it and realizing what you learned and kind of taking what you learned and like all those good experiences, and then then you move on. But I tried that for 2 freaking years, man, and then it didn't work. And so I finally gave up on trying to keep the good parts of that relationship, and I was like, I just have to throw it all away. It's all going. So so that's what I did, and then I felt free. I was free from that T-shirt. I took off the V-neck. I don't know. I tried to really reach in there, but what I'm trying to say is you can't you can't, I don't know why I'm trying to make this t-shirt thing work, but if you really like the crop top shirt, all you're doing is just rolling up the bad stuff. Like if you want a crop top shirt, this is so dumb, dude. So if you really like the look of a crop top shirt, which is the good parts of the relationship, this part would be embarrassing. That's why I'm paranoid. All you're doing is just rolling up the bottom of the shirt, aka the bad parts of the relationship, but eventually just going through your life, it's gonna unravel and you're gonna see that, and it's gonna cover up your sick abs that you got going on, so what I'm saying is you can't have both. You have to either be cool with covering up your awesome abs, or you have to take off the shirt completely so everyone can see everything, and you're free like that. And that actually ended up being not as bad of an analogy as I thought, but that's what it is, man. You just have to throw it away. And so when I get conflicted like that, like, oh, I'm just shoving down their feelings, you have to. There's a point, like, you could think, it's good to think through it a little bit for a few months, but it's been over 4 months. It's time to shut it down. Shoo. Maybe I'll think of a good thing I can do with that. An edit point. But I was talking about with my therapist, I'm kind of still struggling with, well, not after yesterday, kind of. So, struggling with putting out my podcast where I talk about the breakup, which is going to end up being In Touch with Tommy 5. Because, I'm afraid of when I put it out, I'm afraid of what my ex will think about it. I'm afraid about what my ex's friends will think about it. I'm afraid about what my possible future smoocher will think of it. That's what I call my next significant other. Future smoocher. I'm afraid of what they'll think of it. Like, will they be jealous? That like someone else made me feel like that or something. But my therapist helped me understand that it only matters what my intention is. And my intention isn't to get my ex's attention. My intention isn't to get my ex's attention. It rhymed. My intention isn't to make her friends laugh with me, or no, my intention isn't to make her friends laugh at or with me. Meaning my intentions aren't like, they'll probably laugh at me, but that's not my intention. And that's fine if they do. And my intention isn't to hurt my future smoocher. Those are not my intentions. My intention is for people to feel seen on this podcast. Like I talk about, people need a hero. And I talked about this in the Solar Summer season podcast that I am a hero. And I want to be that hero for other people. I'm my own hero, but I also want other people to see me as their hero. I don't want them to see me as their hero. I just want them to feel like they have a hero. And if that's me, that's great. But I want people to be like, dude, that really spoke to me, and I feel you, and I feel less alone now, and I could be more vulnerable with my friends and family because of how you were like that with on your podcast, and you put it out to the world. So you gave me the courage to talk about these scary, sad things, and that's my intention. And so, all the other stuff is out of my hands. How I put it out, and then it's up to people, and it's not mine anymore. That's something that I heard on a podcast, that like once you release something and put it to the public, it's not yours. You have no control, and that's freeing and also terrifying. But I don't know why I didn't talk about this before, because it was definitely something I was struggling with, and I don't know why I felt like I had to hide that or something. But now that I'm watching them back, because I'm starting to edit them and stuff, I'm thinking about it more, I guess. But my therapist helped me realize that it's only about your intention, and obviously your intention isn't to hurt someone. And so I love you guys. This is I always like them, but this one felt really good, and I feel lighter. I feel so much lighter right now from saying that. I think because I was like keeping it inside. That feels really good. Yeah. I love you guys so much. I didn't even drink my drink at all. I only drank it once. Oh, that's good. Go to Dunkin'. Little plug at the end. Anyway, okay, that's it. I love you guys so much, and thank you for being my hero as well. It's a two-way street. I can't be a hero to no one. You're my hero for me being your hero. I don't know if that makes sense. That was off the cuff, but truly, thank you so much. And I hope this made you think. And keep in touch with me. Tell me wait.
Welcome, Modern Talk. This is Modern Talk. Modern Talk. Modern Talk. Modern Talk. I hope this made you think. Why? How?
Let's play a game. Is it too close? It wasn't too close, but this is right here. This is where I wanted you to see this, because if it was cut off, it would have looked weird. Yeah! What can I say? He's an animal. Ow! What's up?